So late 2022, I was in the market for a new camera. I was looking for something that was small, had decent form factor, the ability to take around and do some vlogging whenever we travel around, or whenever I'm out and about using one of my drones. I'm going to do a little bit of videography with it. Now, I already own the Sony ZV-10, which is filming on here right now, which does a pretty good job of capturing video, stationary. But whenever you're trying to move around and do some vlogging with it, you get a lot of jello. The image is not stabilized because it is electronic stabilization. And when you throw in a Catalyst browse, you don't always end up with something that is usable footage at the end of the day. For example, we took it on one of our trips, even stabilizing a Catalyst browse. The video was very shaky, very jerky, and I was not impressed with it. But using it stationary for vlogging, it's perfect with like good lighting. So the other camera I was looking at was a Sony FX30, but that camera is $3,900. So I would have to really justify it, especially for just walking around and using it for like run and gun vlogging. That's a very steep investment. Along came Sony's FX30 though. Now at $1,800, that is a much smaller pill to swallow. I already have a wide range of APS-C lenses, so the APS sensor on that paired with lenses I already own, much easier to justify. So that's the one I went with. And we ended up taking this on our trip to Sweden, which got a ton of video footage, and I'll say that this camera did a stellar job. So one thing I was impressed with was the quality of the microphones in this camera. There are two microphones on top of the camera. I'm not sure if there's other ones around. I wouldn't be surprised because when we were in Sweden, we used this a lot and it did a really good job of being able to like directionally tell where the sound was coming from. So if I was behind the camera, it did a good job of like in the video being able to tell that I was behind the camera. If I was recording something in front of the camera, it did a really great job of recording sound in front of the camera. And if we were just like in a setting, like we went to the Spirit Museum over there and show you a quick clip. But in the museum, I'm behind the camera talking. I do like a quick selfie, talking head video, and then I record my wife, and you can tell exactly where the sound's coming from. It also did a great job of picking up all the spatial audio around, everything that was going on in the scene. You could kind of directionally tell where all the sound was coming from. So we're doing some tastings at the Spirit Museum. I went with the beer. I went with traditional liquors.
This is paste. It is not good.
It is very bitter. It is very bitter. It is way more bitter than my sour beer. I hope's doing a pretty good job of drinking it. She's a champ. So I'm really impressed with the microphones they put on here, which is even better for vlogging because you don't have to add a shotgun mic to this to record good audio. It does a great job of just using the onboard microphones to capture quality audio for your video. Okay, now video quality. Pair with a good lens, this camera does really, really well. I used the Sony 10 to 20 millimeter G lens the entire trip while we were in Sweden, and it did a great job. This lens is decently sharp. It's not super sharp like one of your faster Sony f1.4 lenses, but it does a really good job. It's a G lens. What I like about the Sony FX30 also is the fact that it comes with Sony S-Cinetone profile, which I was looking for something that I didn't have to do a lot of color grading. And that profile definitely hit the spot. The color tones look nice and natural. You get a decent cinematic look with the way Sony has it set up, and it is perfect for just capturing some video footage, throwing it into your computer, and putting a quick clip together and get a nice video out of it. So the last thing I was looking for in a travel camera was the ability to still use it as a camera to take photo stills. And this camera does it. It's a little clunky going through the menus to get it into like a normal camera photography mode. And you don't have any of the dials like you have on the Sony a7R4. So you're kind of using buttons going through menus to get everything set up properly. But again, it still works. It does a really good job. The sensor is actually really nice for capturing decent detail, especially coupled with a solid lens. So you can pull some decent resolution out of this. I believe it's like 26.2 megapixels, something like that. But you can still use this as a still camera. You're not going to be doing burst fire mode at all because you're only able to take one picture at a time. But if you're like traveling around, you're just using it the occasional, like, hey, quick picture here or there, or if you turn it to a selfie camera, take a quick picture of yourself, it works just fine for that. So would I recommend this camera to anybody that's looking to get into vlogging? Yes. This camera will do everything you need it to do. You can definitely use it for other professional type videography work. This camera will probably take you pretty far. So if you found this video to be informative, please like, subscribe, and share. And we'll end this with some additional clips captured while we're in Sweden. And all the footage is unedited, straight out of camera, just using Sony's S72 profile. Thanks for watching.